I see that already we have one question in the chat from Timia in Hungary. Timmy, would you like to ask your question, please?
Yes. Hi, Michaela. Thank you for your presentation. My question is about the advisory checks. What do they mean exactly, and how would they work? What do you plan?
Shall I answer directly?
Yes, please do. Please do.
Okay. Yeah. Well, good morning again. Well, the advisory checks, they are still a little bit in discussion in our country. But as I mentioned in the presentation, we have some sectors in agriculture who are really small, horticulture or ornamental plants. It's a very small sector, and not all the official advisors in every region are experts in this area. And we already have some private enterprises giving advice to these small structured farmers, and we are thinking of integrating them somewhat in our system. And so the farmers, they can get their advice they are used to, and they can present us with an invoice, and they're getting quite a flat rate check for paying the private advisors. But it's still in discussion, and we are not really sure how much money we can provide for this small item on the agenda.
Thank you. So, because the public advisors in your country are working for free, and that is how you would like to support also the private advisors, that kind of financing. Okay, yes, I understand. Thank you very much.
Super, thank you for the question. Thank you for the answer. Please, to all of our colleagues in the call, please don't hesitate to ask additional questions, to put your hand up, or to put them into the chat. Whilst we're hopefully waiting for some further questions, Michaela, I also had a very specific question. We're running this Google Doc, this e-discussion online, and a number of the colleagues are raising concerns or asking questions specifically about the necessary capacity of the future CAP nets, of the CAP networks, especially with respect to the technical competence of members of staff in the network support units, but also, of course, I mean, the kind of extended and additional activities that Inga has been referring to also has an impact upon budget. What's your feeling at the moment with respect to building the necessary capacity and ensuring the necessary resources? Are you doing some preliminary budget calculations already? Do you have some kind of figure in your head?
I'm afraid I'm not really the perfect competent person for the CAP networks. Maybe my colleague Martin Leitner, he's joining the meeting. There still is some work to be done on the decision for the CAP network, because as I also mentioned in the presentation, the basic regulation gives some options how to put it, and my colleagues from the other unit, they are responsible for that question. So maybe Martin has some ideas. I'm not really up to date what's in the pipeline.
Well, that would be super if Martin could join in.
Yeah, can you hear and see me?
Perfect.
Yeah, I just fear I cannot say much more than Michaela already did. Michaela said we are still currently in the planning phase of the new CAP network, and we are not yet in the state of dealing with budget. This is very interesting. We want to learn from this webinar what the challenges for the future will be of the CAP network. As Michaela already said, we want to keep for the future the innovation broker, but of course there will be new challenges ahead, and we need to think of how we best target the new challenges and how we best set up the CAP network in the future. But unfortunately, we haven't made any budgeting at this stage right now, so I cannot say much about that.
No, I mean, thanks for that. I mean, sorry, I did rather put you both on the spot with that question. But again, in terms of our feedback in our e-discussion, for example, our colleagues in the Netherlands had introduced actually this simple factor of multiplying by 2 and anticipating actually that the budget for the network support units would be at least double what we were working with at the moment. And I wonder whether there was anybody else in the call who had any particular thoughts on this question of building capacity and anticipated changes in technical competence, particularly maybe I think some of the softer skills that that Inga was referring to. Is this a question of training? Is this a question of recruitment? Or is this a question of actually putting professional development processes in place so that we have processes of continual professional development? Any comments or perspectives on that? Hang about. I see someone with a hand up. Mara from Ireland, please.
Mark, thank you very much. Yes, I think one of the issues that I would have some slight concerns about is that maybe when the new CAP networks are outsourced out of managing authorities, that the tendering process that goes ahead or alongside this. I suppose my concern would be that you would have new organisations, new groups coming in on this that would really need a lot of training, a lot of additional information and knowledge in and around maybe AKIS and all of that goes with that. As well as that, I think the timeline needs to be really considered by managing authorities in that the tendering process goes ahead in sufficient time for the selected group to make sure that they have all of the necessary aspects of what they need to do in place, particularly if there is additional training needed. So I think it has to be very carefully planned that managing authorities do this on time, and that the selected group, if they are outside the managing authorities, that if they do win the tender process to run the CAP network, that they have plenty of time in order to put all of this in place. So that would be one concern that I have, that it's not left too late, the tendering process.
And that's a very interesting observation. And of course, that's coming from your very, very specific experience in Ireland, where the network support unit has now been outsourced, I think, for the last 2 programming periods. Anyone want to respond to that, Inga or Michaela, about this question of this specific issue of managing the outsourcing of network support units?
Well, as far as I can tell, this is Michaela, we didn't have any bad experiences with the outsourcing for the last time. We found a very competent consortium of several partners, and they are trained in all fields of agriculture, project management, even on didactic for educational questions and methods. So we found a really good organization, and the cooperation with the rural network has been excellent, and it's well established. And even if we have to go through another tendering process, I think we can assume that at least some of the partners will come up with a tender again. So there might be some new elements, some new partners, but a basic part already apt for the job.
No, super. Thanks for that. I see another hand up. I see Timmy from Hungary again with a question.
Hi. It is not really an answer, just to give an overview also about the situation here in Hungary. Yes, it seems that we also will have tendering, so we would outsource this function of the support units, actually, because in Hungary, the managing authority is planning to have 3 support units for the CAP network. So not only one, because it would differentiate by topic, the support units. So there would be one support unit for the AKIS, another one for the rural activities like leader, and again another one for green architecture. So some of us is afraid that this system would be rather fragmented then, but now these are the plans. So just to give you an overview about our situation now, but I agree that tendering is not the best thing, because if the ministry has not enough capacity, then to outsource this activity, this is a good option. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Timmy, and thanks also for raising this issue of fragmentation at the level of the coordination of the network. I mean, clearly we were obviously very excited and intrigued by this big ambition to be bringing networks together, but obviously it's extremely challenging, and we're seeing this, of course, at the European level as well, where actually there will be a number of network support units in order to implement and support and facilitate and foster the European network as well. So this is clearly an ongoing challenge, but something to continue to discuss, and I think something to continue sharing experiences and perspectives. Inge, sorry, I see your hand up.
Yes, I think what you call fragmentation is not a real danger, as long as you have clearly separated blocks. I would say green architecture, for instance, risks to overlap with AKIS. Why? Because the advisors are under AKIS, and they know everything about, should know everything about nitrates and all these other directives. So there I see a danger. But I mean, in theory, in principle, there's nothing against it, but you have to see that the blocks, if you want to split up, that they are logically split up. For instance, we have been working in a number of, regions and countries have been working between leader and operational groups very well. So if you put them in separate pieces, you know on beforehand that the cooperation will go much more difficult, while we've seen that some leader groups have been the brokers for operational groups. You know that they have a 7-year strategic approach that they have to follow, while in fact operational groups are very agile. They can start on a project any moment. So this could be an addition to what the leader group can do, and if they feel that they can bring together the right persons to make an operational group, why not? I mean, we're all in the same bath trying to improve agriculture and to make the right transitions. And in a way, if you split up too much, there might be a danger. For instance, at EU level, because Mark was referring to that, evaluation and monitoring, I think that's really a technique on itself where you need specific skills, and that's not for everybody to do so. So I would not see any problem with that, to be honest. So this was about themes and splitting up. Now I'd like to say a second thing about the timing. What we did, and if Helen is still in the room, I saw in the beginning she was there, Helen Williams. I would like to have her confirmation, but I'm very sure that at European level, what we did is have an overlap of 2 years. So the old networks can run 2 years, while the new networks can already in. Now I'm a little bit doubting, because I've been very much into the CAP trilogues and all kinds of other stuff. Also for Horizon Europe has been very heavy because it was the start of a new period. So I'm a bit hesitating, but I think that this is the same for the national networks, or maybe Michaela knows it, or if Helen is still here. but I think they can also have this overlapping period. Is that correct? Sorry, can't speak. So here she is, 5 minutes. Now I add in. So Helen is on her way.
Okay. But I think it's an interesting point to return to. So let's make sure that because we got 5+ minutes still to continue the discussion. So let's try and bring Helen back in. But I see that Timmy has your hand up. Were you keen to come back in, Timmy?
Yes, sorry. I'm stupid. I forgot to say that actually there would be 3 support units and 1 coordination body to coordinate their work. So I agree that if they can cooperate, then there won't be problems. It is just a danger. However, this coordination body would be different than the AKIS coordination body, just to make it clear. So it will be the coordination body of the AKIS, the CAP network, sorry. Thank you.
Yes, but Timia, the thing stays that within AKIS, we have this new advisory approach as part of the AKIS. And if you look to Article 13, you will see that everything with green architecture is already an obligatory field for the advisors. So automatically it falls under AKIS. And there I see an issue. If I may be so blunt to say this.
Okay,
yes,
thanks for.
Yes.
May I come in
for
clarification?
Please.
Thank you. I'm sorry. I tried to put on my camera because otherwise I seem to be my husband as a name. I'm sorry. This was I had some technical issues. I could only use my husband's Teams certification with my son's iPad. So thank you very much. But yes, digitalization is how it works. So just a little bit of clarification on what Timmy mentioned, and I think it's a very important discussion because none of us did it before. So we're all trying to do or prepare a good solution. What we saw is that Rural Development Network, national network, is doing its job nicely on coordinating leader and rural development actions, but they don't really have the capacity and also the affinity. So they are different kind of people than innovation and research people. So our experts on EIP are quite different from our experts on rural development. Of course, this is an area where we can improve and to have joint meetings or joint training. But we see, at least in Hungary, that we would need different kind of experts for this AKIS and innovation part of support. So we would like to have a support unit on innovation. Maybe it's not a central support unit. Maybe it will be a support unit which can be funded from the Rural Development Program and Innovation Support Service. We don't know yet. And the third pillar is, yes, is the green architecture, but it's more on environmental and climate monitoring issues. So exactly what Inge was talking about. But it's linked, monitoring is linked to research and innovation and also on advisory, because we need to develop our monitoring system using research and innovation money. We already do that from national money. And also this monitoring, the development of monitoring system is only useful if you show the results for the farmers. So we would like to do an advisory part, but this unit will definitely be the monitoring of in environmental and climate issues. Thank you.
Thank you for the clarification, Anniko.
Yes, thank you very much, Anniko. Does anyone else have any specific contributions to make to this discussion? Do you want to put your hand up to make a comment or write anything in the chat? Okay, I don't see anything. I don't know whether Helen is able to contribute now to respond to Inge's question. Maybe not.
I don't see her in the participant list.
Right, okay. Okay. Well, maybe we'll return to that actually after lunch. And if Helen is able to join us after lunch, I mean, the chat will be open, then maybe also she can contribute anything in the chat. We're very close now to finalizing this session, but it did occur to me, and we've been talking very much about the coordination at the level of the network, but there is also a higher level issue of coordination that I think Inga touched upon earlier, which is the strategic coordination between ministries. And I was very intrigued, and I'm mentioning it because there's a very specific comment in the e-discussion in Google Doc B from our colleagues in Slovakia, who have very clearly identified the importance of this connection, sharing responsibility between three ministries: the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, the Ministry of Education, Science and Research, and the Ministry of Environment. And so it's constructing this high-level coordination of the AKIS. And also they have a rather interesting structure that they're proposing, consisting of 6 pillars. And I mean, it's a very well structured. Again, I'm thinking back to Michaela's fantastic diagram and the middle bullet point, well structured. And I just wondered if, before we went to lunch, whether our colleagues from Slovakia would like to add anything.
Yeah, hello. So it was me who posted that in the document, and like a couple weeks ago, we received the AKIS structure from the working group preparing the CAP strategic plan. We are not aware or not sure how the CAP networks will participate in the AKIS structure, but we already have this scheme, and also we have it in a picture diagram, how all the departments and all the pillars will be connected, and how the 3 ministries will kind of coordinate, or how the organizations or the experts and other actors will report to these 3 ministries. So I think they already have the idea of this structure for the future. But maybe why we already have this scheme is because in the previous years, or within this programming period in 2014-2020, we didn't work much in the AKIS structure here in Slovakia. And maybe last 2 years or last year, the Ministry of Agriculture, which is a managing authority for the Rural Development Program, decided to focus more into this AKIS scheme. There already existed the consultants or the experts supporting the projects of AKIS or Horizon 2020, but now they really want to work more deeply in the scheme. And also us as NRN will be members, or will be participating on the support system. So they will be like the 6 pillars, and us as a network will be in the support system. So we will connect all the actors and also share information and cooperate with each other. So that's what we already have planned.
No, thanks, Anna. That's really interesting. This idea that, you know, you have this clear structure, the 6 pillars, the high-level coordination, but then with the CAP network interacting or facilitating and the communication and interaction within that structure, which is very, very nice. Very, very nice indeed.
And also regarding the operational groups, the call for the operational groups was open only a couple months ago, so we still don't have the specific operational groups in Slovakia. So probably we will manage the database, or manage the knowledge database of these operational groups within the transition period and starting the next period. So we are kind of at the beginning of this AKIS scheme, and also with the EIP measures, but probably it will happen during the transition period, everything.
Super, thank you very much, Anna. Inga, did you want to respond to Anna's comment? But also I see Helen is back in is available as well now.
Yes, well, in fact, Anna almost replied to my question, because one of the elements that, of course, is very attractive to other countries and to the Horizon side is having operational groups. And you told yourself that they are on the way and that they will start and probably soon. And so, in fact, you replied to my question. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
Super. And I see Helen's turned her camera on. Hi, Helen. Inga asked a very specific question earlier with respect to this sort of transition period between rural networks at a national level, transition between programming periods at a national level.
Perhaps if I can step in and I will check that I've well understood the question. I'm sorry, I had to take a call just as it was happening, which is always frustrating. I mean, I understood the question was a bit about how the, sorry, I hear background noise.
Oh, can you mute your,
yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. So I understand, Inga, the question was about how the networking at national level can work during the transition. Is that correct?
Yes, because I was say 100% sure that at EU level we have these 2 years of transition where in fact the old networks could continue their work while already new selected networks could start up. That's at EU level clear, but is it the same case at national level? Because I forgot that we worked on it, but it's out of my mind.
Okay, I think I can help here. So yes, in the CAP strategic plans regulation, in the transitional provisions at the end, but of course still open at the moment, there's a clause that says that for the networks, the old networks, so the current rural networks, whether at EU or at national level, can carry on until the new network is established. And in this programming period, of course, the timing is a little bit different at EU level compared to national level, because with the national level, of course, you've got the extension of the current rural development programmes. And of course, from the Commission side, and we hope at member state level, you absolutely want the networking to carry on accompanying those programmes till their end and supporting those projects till the end. So what this provision does, it says that effectively you can carry on your old national rural network until you establish your new CAP network. And the old network can do the functions as well as its current roles. It can also help support the preparation of the new CAP strategic plan. And vice versa, once you've set up your new national CAP network, it can also carry on supporting your old RDP until its end. And the one key factor there is that, of course, in our regulations there's a provision saying the national CAP networks have to be established maximum 12 months from the Commission's approval of your CAP strategic plan. So that means if all goes to plan, all the national CAP networks should be set up at the very latest by the end of 2023. But of course, we don't particularly want to encourage you to wait for the last minute. And this clause means that you could go earlier, set up your national CAP network earlier, but still carry on doing the important work of accompanying, say, current OGs or current LAGs and projects under current RDPs till their end. So basically, it's a very flexible formula. And I think the only really key condition is that the national CAP network has to be set up by the latest 12 months after the approval of the CAP strategic plan. So I hope that clarifies. Thank you.
So sorry, Helen, with reference to the discussion earlier about the outsourcing, so that would mean also that the procurement and outsourcing processes would also need to be completed within that 12 months in order to ensure that there was a functional network support unit in place within that 12-month period. That's basically what we're talking about?
I mean, our rules, we say the network has to be established, and we don't specify what established means.
Okay.
But for us, of course, I mean, the idea behind is that the network is up and functioning, because I think of course, one could write in a CAP strategic plan, you know, I'm going to have my CAP network in place. But I think we all know that in practical terms, unless there's somebody, whether it's in-house in a managing authority or outsourced, who has that task of animating the network, nothing much happens. And we really attach a lot of importance in the new period to this reinforced role for networking. So I think implicitly you're right. While we don't interfere in what a member state does in terms of its procurements, the objective is clearly there, that the network should be up and functioning.
Super, thank you. That's a very important clarification.